Guys, thanks for coming on tonight. So first up, we will mostly talk about the things that will affect everyone. So what do we know about Gloucester? What do we know about the weather? And then we'll briefly run through the route for both the 10k and the half, and just talk about, there is a bit of wind planned, so how that could affect things, how it could affect your strategy, and also how you can use it to your benefit when it comes to racing against other people, and finally we'll talk through the different sort of strategies that you might want to adopt. I think you guys are probably more informed than a lot of our members about pacing. So yeah, I mean, we can see the weather here: sun and cloud, 9 or 10 degrees. Obviously you're going to arrive and it's going to feel cold, or you're going to get up in the morning and it's going to feel cold outside, like it does at the moment. But we all know how much that changes when you start running, right? By the end of the warm-up, you should be huffing and puffing and really warm. I would encourage that you show up in, track pants, jogging bottoms over your shorts, or running bottoms. But on top, I definitely want to make sure that you're not wearing a long sleeve underneath a t-shirt, because even if you take the t-shirt off, by the time you get halfway through the run, you're going to be really hot, and that can really affect your run. Heat is the thing that will slow you down more than anything at this event, I believe. So layers, if you don't mind wearing a vest, then it's definitely going to be vest weather. So yeah, I'd be in vest if you're comfortable in a vest, t-shirt otherwise. And look, I remember last year when I did this race, I did the 10k, and I had a long sleeve top on, for the exact same reasons I've been talking about. It was cold during warm-up. It was cold when you arrived. I arrived literally in the trackies that I've always got on, and a big hoodie with a long sleeve and gloves. I think I probably even had some ear warmers, but by the end of the warm-up, I was like, man, no, there's no need for this long sleeve top. Obviously, I checked the track pants and the hoodie and bag into bag drop, but I ended up tying my long sleeve top to the fence next to the start line. We finished the warm-up, got into the start pens, and top came off, and that was it. Shorts and vest for the whole run. Because yeah, it's just this time of year, and we're also a bit lucky with the weather, aren't we? So don't overdress for this. It will slow you down if you do. Even tying things around your waist, I think, is a bit of a faff. But that's just me. So let's jump into the 10k, and we can have a look at the hill profile. Look at that. It looks scary, doesn't it? It really isn't. The hills are not particularly steep. When you're coming out, you will feel a bit of hill, and I'm sure you've all driven this part of Gloucester before. You're coming up and around the docks, and that bears right. But yeah, at this early part of the race, the hills aren't going to affect you much. I think the key thing is, as I harp on about all the time, is just don't get carried away running too fast up any climbs that there are. We zoom out a bit, so remember, what way is this wind going? Okay, so it's coming from the west. So if we're looking at the route, coming from this way, so we know that whenever we're running west, running towards the wind, that's when it's going to be hardest. So it looks like that's going to be in definitely the second half, or probably around the second half, isn't it? So I did spend some time trying to sort out exactly which direction things are going, but I'm pretty sure what we're doing is coming up here and taking the right towards Cafe 72, and then it's a left around here, and then obviously we're not coming back into the finish here. We're going around for the second half of the run. So this will be where you'll notice the wind the most. It's not particularly strong, but it's definitely still going to be noticeable. All right, so I would still be thinking, around about this point where you're going with the wind and hopefully feeling really good on the first 5k, that you want to be looking for people who are bigger than you, and or multiple, a group of people that you can sort of tuck in behind that are going at the pace that you want to be going at, and so that you've got them to buffer the wind through this section here. And what's that in total? So it's going from 3.6k all the way to, come on, show up, 4.7. So it's a kilometer, right? So it's 1.1 kilometers that you're running into a wind. So it does pay to be tucked in behind someone for that, and you're just recovering while they're doing the hard work. So you'll then be heading south. I can remember this, and I'm pretty sure this is about where we split off. So basically here is where the 10k will turn left and cut into this little estate here, and you'll see the half marathon runners continue on, which is a great feeling when you're doing the 10k and people keep running and you get to turn left. It's lovely. I quite enjoyed that last year. Now let's get on the right route. So then you're coming back, and now you're starting to get some, actually not really, not really going with the wind. It's going to be a crosswind, and I remember it feeling particularly windy around here last year. Again, you're going to get some benefit going with the wind. And where are we? This is, okay, so this is the just after 8 kilometers into the race, and you can see that we've got a bit of hill coming back into Gloucester. Again, it looks way worse than it is, but at this point of the run, if you've been pushing your pace, it is going to start to be uncomfortable if it wasn't already uncomfortable. So you are turning left, and then I remember this part feeling like it was just going on and on. So this will be the right turn. And let me just confirm that. Yes. Okay, so we are definitely going from Berkeley Street, and you're turning right. And then you're turning right again into here, Brunswick Street. So, and then you're going to the finish. It's a pretty nice run into the finish, this bit. I remember getting a good bit of pace up. It's a bit technical at the end. If you are really going for it, this is not a nice turn. But then you'll find yourself back in the park. Oh yeah, no, that's right. And they had a band playing right here at the finish line. I don't think the start, I think the start was more around here. We can't turn on satellite, it's a shame. But so it starts at a slightly different place. It's probably just because they couldn't map it into this particular section here. But that's the 10K. Now, any questions on that? I mean, as you can see, the main difference between the two events. So you've got the same start, which does this little loop here. You've got the little headwind section very early on in the race. So what's that, around the 4K mark? So that's all the same. And you're going to have, I think it all starts at the same time, right? So the 10K and half marathon starts at the same time. 10K runners going for it. So you won't actually know who's running 10K, who's running half marathon. And that can be, no problems now, thank you. That can be quite deceptive, right? Because you're running, the half marathon, and you might be running next to someone who you think, oh God, I should be running faster than that person, But lo and behold, they're peeling off after whatever it is, 6K, 5K, and you've got to continue on, and you're doing twice as far as them. So don't let other people disrupt your pace strategy if you've got one. So again, you're crossing over here and heading south. And I haven't run this part. You guys didn't do it last year, did you, Jack or Tim?
No, just the 10K last year.
Yeah, so we can see that it continues south here. You're going to have a bit of headwind after Costa. And this will probably all start to feel a bit lonely out here. I'm sure the field will spread out quite a bit. So again, I'm always looking for someone to run with or behind. I'm not sure if this is, can only assume that this is a real turning point here, so it's not a mistake. So always a pain to have to do this and then do a 180-degree turn. Just make sure you start assuming that you're going to be on the left side of the road. Start nice and wide if you can, and cut in. You don't want to be on the inside of the turning point, so the inside of the cone, and having to completely stop and then accelerate out again. You want to try and keep your pace as even as possible. I think by this time of the run, it's going to be pretty strung out. So it shouldn't be like you're being, hemmed in by other people at this stage. I think that you get to pick your line pretty well. So just do your best to maintain momentum around it. So start on the outside and cut in. But yeah, once you come out of that, you get some tailwind, which will be, I'm sure, very nice. Let's start having a look at the hill profile. It's been slightly downhill approaching that turn. Okay, so it looks like that. There's a bit of a small peak around here. And then, but yeah, after that 180-degree turn, it's probably pretty flat along the river, isn't it? Going with the wind. So hopefully feeling really good come this stage. And yes, you've hit your 3/4. So, I guess we'll talk a bit more about pacing in a sec, but if you have a ambitious pace strategy, then hopefully this will be a really nice time for you, whether it be catching up on pace that you hadn't achieved earlier in the race, if you got held up by people or whatever, or maybe you're just being a little bit conservative. Hopefully you can catch back up on the pace that you wanted. Hopefully it's not that you're way ahead of your pace strategy, and because you've got a pretty tough finish here. So heading north, wind's probably not going to have too much of an effect, and it's the same finish as what the 10k runners had, right? You're coming around the docks, and I think it's pretty safe to say, in fact, we can even watch the little guy move, that you are, yeah, so it's exactly the same finish as for the 10k. So you can start getting excited basically once you get back into Gloucester, around Gloucester docks. You've got what, 1.5 kilometers left once you get past this point. So a good time to really start picking up the pace if you've got anything left to do so. So yeah, Jack and Tim, I know you were at the adventure run we did from Whittington, and has anything changed for you in regards to the target speed that you were thinking about based on what we've talked about so far?
No, not after doing that 18k. No, with all those hills.
yeah. So so this will obviously, you'd hope, should be much nicer, much easier than that run was, and I should give you lots of confidence. I mean, if I was to have a guesstimate, I think you could probably go a good 10 seconds per k faster, Jack, than what you did at Whittington, as a pretty safe
Okay.
increase, to be honest. Tim, same thing, whatever you did.
I'm similar to Jack in terms of the answer to the question as well. Yeah, similar. I did have a very good 9-mile run on Monday. I kept a really even pace. That was quite a bit faster than the hilly one we did, the 18-kilometer, and that was for just under 15k. And that was I felt really good on that. That went really well. So I'm confident on this one, definitely.
Good. We've got a small complication you've just revealed before the call.
apart from feeling like rubbish today.
Hopefully it won't move the chest. It's a big thing.
Hopefully not. Apart from that, I was actually confident.
No, I mean, you're not going to lose any fitness this week, but obviously a sore throat won't slow you down. But yeah, it's just whether it moves to your chest for Sunday, that could be quite uncomfortable. But again, it can just be a good excuse to slow down a bit. I would be a bit more conservative with your pace strategy. I was going to say, obviously, there's two pace strategies that we want to consider, and there's one that we definitely don't want to consider, and this is very much personal opinion. I don't think that anyone should be intentionally trying to do a positive split, so doing the first half of the run faster than the second half. I think that almost always leads to a horrific experience, or at least one where you're just feeling like you've just got no control over your finish of the race. You have one decision, and that is, I'm just trying to finish as fast as I can, but I can't speed up. I'm just trying to hang on, and inevitably, if you've paced it faster in the first half, then you're going to be able to in the second half. Then you can't hang on. You are slowing down, and you don't have a choice, no matter how much grit and determination you've got. So, an even split is ambitious. I would only encourage someone who really has had a good build up and has tracked all their runs, and they've got a run which is comparable to what we've done. So, and I would count Whittington. Jack, I think you're in a really good place to aim for an even split for this race. And you had a really good build up. I assume you're not got a cold, and hopefully you're having a really good taper at the moment. So I think you can be quite confident, and that doesn't mean when you start the race that you just run based on how you feel because you're so confident. It means that you are checking your watch all the time to make sure that you're not letting that speed go faster than what you want to average for the race, right? So in theory, it's quite simple. You pick a speed that is ambitious but achievable, and if you've not guessed it, but if you've calculated it right, then you won't be able to speed up at the end, but the pace will have been so high that you won't be able to speed up, but it also will be low enough that it should be achievable, that you can hang on at that speed and finish having given everything, maybe even been able to access a little bit of adrenaline kick at the end, when there's a bit of crowd and you've got a few guys that you've been running with for the last 10k or so, and you want to have a bit of a race with them to get the best time possible. That for me, that's the ideal. If you can hit an even pace, but an even split, that is ideal. But most people, I think, should be aiming for a negative split. So Tim, for example, I would maybe take 5 seconds per k off your Whittington run, as opposed to 10 seconds like I suggested for Jack. Completely up to you what you do on the day, but if you've got a slightly conservative plan of doing a slightly negative split, it just reduces the risk of the wheels falling off and you having to really drop this pace back and not feel as proud of how you went at the end, because you realize that you went off too quick and you had to really hold yourself back for a moment. And you may be still sprint finished, but you realize that actually the time that you held yourself back really cost your overall average speed or your overall time. And you maybe didn't quite achieve that perfect reflection of your current ability. But yeah, that's just the way I see it. And so that's the pacing, how you want to run it. But it all comes down, there's no point having a plan if you're not prepared to actually check your watch and see what pace you are doing. I know a lot of people still run without checking their watch or without wearing a watch, and that's fine. It's all up to you. But I'm very data driven, so for me I know that if I've averaged this, then I can maintain that for a very long time, and at the end I should have a bit to kick, as long as the conditions don't deteriorate awfully, or as long as I don't have a few drinks the night before or a big breakfast. This is what I should be able to achieve. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We won't dive into personal preferences for food or anything like that. I'm sure you've all practiced that in training, what you're going to eat beforehand and what time you sort of need to get up in order to have that food beforehand. The reason we have 9 a.m. Sunday morning club runs is so you can practice your race day nutrition, getting up at a similar time and checking that the food that you've eaten you know, X number of minutes or hours before the race, agrees with you for that sort of distance of run. So hopefully you guys are all good with that stuff. But yeah, any questions before we wrap up? Awesome. Look at that.
I don't think so.
7:29. Come on, 7:30. Thank you for jumping on, guys. And
Cheers. Thanks, Conor.
can't wait to
Have a
see
good
you
evening.
either tomorrow night or Sunday morning. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Thanks, Connor.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.